Jai Om Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivraj Tarasi Samad Abhay Chaitanya Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Basari Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Madhava Govinaj Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Shri Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mahi Jamuna Mahi Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Sangha Veda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Bhaktam Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. Glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Jnanantarandasya Jnanankaran Salakaya Chakshuramitam Tashmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namam Vishnubhadaya Krishna Paristhaya Bhutare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Deti Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pasharine Nirvise Shushandvari Pasaridhari. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Basari Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Continuing the reading from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna book is a summary study of the 10th canto of Sri Srimad Bhagavatam by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We're reading from chapter 30, entitled Krishna's Hiding from the Gopis. So Krishna was enjoying the ras dance with the Gopis. The Gopis were enjoying, they became a little proud. They thought, so special, Krishna's dancing next to me all the time. They couldn't understand that Krishna had expanded himself into thousands of times, and he was dancing between every Gopi. So then Krishna left, and they take away their pride. So now they come in and looking for him. And some of the Gopis then address their Gopi friends, dear friends, why didn't you question these creepers who are so jubilantly embracing the big trees as if the trees were their husbands? It appears that the flowers and of the creepers must have been touched by the nails of Krishna, otherwise how could they feel so jubilant? After searching here and there, the Gopis became fatigued, and then they began to talk like mad women. They could satisfy themselves only by imitating the different pastimes of Krishna. One of them imitated the demon Putana, and one of them imitated Krishna and sucked her breast. One Gopi imitated a hand-driven cart, and another Gopi lay down beneath the cart, threw up her legs, touching the wheels of the cart, as Krishna did to kill the demon Shakadasura. One Gopi imitated child Krishna and lay down on the ground, and one Gopi became the demon Trinavarta and carried the small child Krishna by force into the sky. And one of the gopis began to imitate Krishna while he was attempting to walk, ringing his ankle bells. 2 gopis imitated Krishna and Balaram, and many others imitated their cowherd boyfriends. One gopi assumed the form of Bakasura, and another forced her to fall down, as the demon Bakasura did when he was killed. Similarly, another gopi defeated Vatsasura, just as Krishna used to call his cows by different names. So the gopis imitated him, calling the cows by their respective names. One of the gopis began to play on the flute, and another praised her, the way that Krishna's boyfriends praised him while he played on his flute. One of the gopis took another gopi on her shoulders, just as Krishna used to take his boyfriends. Absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, the gopi who was carrying her friend began to boast that she was Krishna herself. All of you just see my movement. And the gopis raised her hand with her covering garment and said, "Now don't be afraid of the torrents of rain and severe hurricanes. I'll save you." In this way she imitated the lifting of Govardhan hill. One gopi forcibly put her feet on the head of another gopi and said, "You rascal Kaliya, I shall punish you severely. You must leave this place. I have descended on this earth to punish all kinds of miscreants." Another gopi told her friend, "Just see, the flames of the forest fire are coming to devour us. Please, close your eyes and I shall immediately save you from this imminent danger." In this way, all the gopis were madly feeling the absence of Krishna. They inquired about him from the trees and plants. In some places they found the imprints of the marks on the soles of his feet, namely the flag, the lotus flower, the trident and the thunderbolt. After seeing all those footprints, they exclaimed, "Oh, here is the impression of the marks on the soles of Krishna's feet." All the marks, such as the flag, the lotus flower, the trident and the thunderbolt, are distinctly visible here. They began to follow the footprints, and shortly they saw another set of footprints beside them, and immediately they became very sorry. Dear friends, just see, whose are these other footprints? They are beside the footprints of the son of Nanda Maharaj. It is certainly Krishna passing through, resting his hand on some other gopi, exactly as an elephant goes side by side with his beloved mate. We must therefore understand that this particular gopi served Krishna with greater affection and love than ourselves. Because of this, although he has left us, he could not leave her company. He has taken her along with him. Dear friends, just imagine how the dust of this place is transcendently glorious. The dust of the lotus feet of Krishna is worshipped even by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva and the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi. But at the same time, we are very sorry that this particular gopi has gone along with Krishna, for she is sharing the nectar of Krishna's kisses and leaving us aside to lament. Oh friends, just see, at this particular spot, we do not see the footprints of that gopi. It appears that because there were some pinpricks from the dried grass, Krishna took Radharani on his shoulder. Oh, she is so dear to him. Krishna must have picked some flowers in this spot to satisfy Radharani, because here, where he stood erect to get the flowers from the high branches of the tree, we find only half the impressions of his feet. Dear friends, just see how Krishna must have sat down here with Radharani and tried to set flowers in her hair. You can be certain that both of them sat together here. Krishna is self-sufficient. He has nothing to enjoy from any other source. Yet, just to satisfy his devotee, he treated Radharani exactly as a lusty boy treats his girlfriend. Krishna is so kind that he always tolerates the disturbances created by his girlfriends. In this way, all the gopis pointed out the faults of the particular gopi who had been taken alone by Krishna. They said that this chief gopi, Radharani, must be very proud of her position, thinking herself the greatest of the gopis. Yet how could Krishna take her away alone, leaving us all aside, unless she is extraordinarily qualified and beautiful? She must have taken Krishna into the deep forest and told him, "My dear Krishna, I am now very tired. I cannot go any further. Please carry me wherever you like." Then when Krishna was spoken to in this way, he might have told Radharani, "All right, better get on my shoulder." But immediately Krishna must have disappeared. And now Radharani must be lamenting for him. "My dear lover, my dearest, you are so fine and so powerful. Where have you gone? I am nothing but your most obedient maidservant. I am very much aggrieved. Please come and be with me again." Krishna, however, is not coming to her. He must be watching her from a different place and enjoying her sorrow. All the gopis then went further and further into the forest, searching out Krishna. But when they learned that actually Radharani was left alone by Krishna, they became very sorry. This is a test of Krishna consciousness. In the beginning, they were a little envious that Krishna had taken Radharani alone, leaving aside all the other girls. But as soon as they knew that Krishna also left Radharani and that she was alone lamenting for him, they became more sympathetic to her. The gopis found Radharani and heard everything from her, about how she misbehaved to Krishna and how she was proud and was insulted for her pride. After hearing all this, they became actually very sympathetic. Then all the gopis, including Radharani, proceeded further into the forest until they could no longer see the moonlight. When they saw it was getting gradually darker, they stopped. Their mind and intelligence became absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, and they all imitated the activities of Krishna and his speeches. Due to their heart and soul being completely given to Krishna, they began to chant his glories, completely forgetting their family interests. In this way, all the gopis returned to the bank of the Yamuna and assembled there, and expecting that Krishna must return to them, they simply engaged in chanting the glories of Sri Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 13th chapter of Krishna. Krishna is hiding from the gopis. Chapter 31. So the gopis have become a little mad, it says here, almost like mad in separation from Krishna. They'd been with Krishna. Krishna was more dear than their own life. They came out to the forest to dance with him. They began to enjoy it, and then Krishna left them. And they were very severely afflicted. They began talking very strangely and acting very strangely, started to imitate Krishna. They couldn't forget Krishna, you see. So this is their madness of their pure love for him. So this is chapter 31, continuing the songs by the gopis. One gopi said, "My dear Krishna, ever since you took your birth in this land of Brajabhumi, everything appears to be glorious. The land of Vrindavan has become glorious, and it is as if the goddess of fortune is personally always existing here. But it is only we who are very unhappy, because we are searching for you but cannot see you. even with our greatest effort. Our life is completely dependent on you. Therefore, we request you that you again come to us. Another Gopi said, "My dear Krishna, you are the life and soul of even of the lotus flower that grows on the water of lakes, made transparent by the clear rains of autumn. Although the lotus flowers are so beautiful, without your glance, they fade away. Similarly, without you, we are also dying. Actually, we are neither your wives nor slaves. You never spent any money for us, yet we are simply attracted by your glance. Now, if we die without receiving your glance, you will be responsible for our deaths. Certainly the killing of a woman is a great sin, and if you do not come to see us and we die, you will suffer the reactions of sin. So please come to see us. Do not think that one can be killed only by certain weapons. We are being killed by your absence. You should consider how you are responsible for killing women. We are always grateful to you because you have protected us many times from the poisonous water of the Yamuna, from the serpent Kaliya, from Bakasura, from the anger of Indra and his torrents of rain, from the forest fire, and so many other incidents. You are the greatest and most powerful of all. It is wonderful for you to protect us from so many dangers, but we are surprised that you are neglecting us at this moment. Dear Krishna, dear friend, we know very well that you are not actually the son of Mother Yasoda or the cowherd man Nanda Maharaj. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the Super Soul of all living entities. You have, out of your own causeless mercy, appeared in this world, requested by Lord Brahma for the protection of the world. It is by your kindness only that you have appeared in the dynasty of Yadu. O best in the dynasty of Yadu, if anyone afraid of this materialistic way of life takes shelter of your lotus feet, you never deny him protection. Your movements are sweet and you are independent, touching the goddess of fortune with one hand and in the other bearing a lotus flower. That is your extraordinary feature. Please, therefore, come before us and bless us with the lotus flower in your hand. Dear Krishna, you are the killer of all the fears of the inhabitants of Vrindavan. You are the supremely powerful hero, and we know that you can kill the unnecessary pride of your devotees as well as the pride of women like us, simply by your beautiful smile. We are simply your maidservants and slaves. Please therefore accept us by showing us your beautiful lotus-like face. Dear Krishna, actually we have become very lusty, having been touched by your lotus feet. Your lotus feet certainly kill all kinds of sinful activities of devotees who have taken shelter there. You are so kind that even the ordinary animals take shelter under your lotus feet. Your lotus feet are also the residence of the goddess of fortune, yet you danced on the heads of the Kaliya serpent with them. Now, we are requesting you to kindly place your lotus feet on our breasts and pacify our lusty desires to touch you. O Lord, your attractive eyes, like the lotus, are so nice and pleasing. Your sweet words are so fascinating that they please even the greatest scholars, who also become attracted to you. We are also attracted by your speaking and by the beauty of your face and eyes. Please, therefore, satisfy us by your nectarian kisses. Dear Lord, words spoken by you, or words describing your activities, are full of nectar, and simply by speaking or hearing your words, one can be saved from the blazing fire of the material existence. Great demigods like Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are always engaged in chanting the glories of your words. They do so to eradicate the sinful activities of all living entities in the material world. If one simply tries to hear your transcendental words, he can very quickly be elevated to the platform of pious activities. For the Vaishnavas, your words give transcendental pleasure, and saintly persons who are engaged in distributing your transcendental message all over the world are first-class charitable persons. In this was confirmed by Rupa Goswami when he addressed Lord Chaitanya as a most munificent incarnation, because he distributed the words of Krishna and love of Krishna free of charge all over the world. And I quote, "Dear Krishna," the Gopis continued, "you are very cunning. You can imagine how much we are distressed simply by remembering your cunning smile. But please, your pleasing glance, your walking with us in the forest of Vrindavan, and your auspicious meditations, your talks with us in lonely places were heartwarming. Now we are all aggrieved to remember your behavior. Please save us, dear Krishna. Certainly you know how much we are saddened when you go out of Vrindavan village to tend the cows in the forest. How we are afflicted simply to think that your soft lotus feet are being pricked by the dry grass and the tiny stones in the forest. We are so attached to you that we always simply think of your lotus feet. O Krishna, when you return from the pasturing ground with the animals, we see your face covered by your curly hair and dusted by the hoof dust of the cows. We see your mildly smiling face, and our desire to enjoy you increases. O dear Krishna, you are the supreme lover, and you always give shelter to surrendered souls. You fulfill everyone's desire. Your lotus feet are worshipped even by Lord Brahma, the creator of the universe. To whomever worships your lotus feet, you without a doubt always bestow your benedictions. So kindly be pleased with us and keep your lotus feet on our breasts, and thus relieve our present distress. Dear Krishna, we are seeking your kisses, which you offer even to your flute. The vibration of your flute enchants the whole world and our hearts also. Kindly therefore return and kiss us with your mouth of nectar." Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 31st chapter of Krishna, Songs by the Gopis. Their love, all they can speak about, all they can think of, is only Krishna. Chapter 32, Krishna returns to the Gopis. When Lord Krishna finally reappeared among the assembled Gopis, he looked very beautiful, just befitting a person with all kinds of opulences. In a Brahma Samhita it is stated, Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Paridabhabhi. Krishna alone is not particularly beautiful, but when his energy, especially his pleasure potency, represented by Radharani, expands, he looks very magnificent. The Mayavadi conception of perfection and absolute truth without potency is due to insufficient knowledge. Actually, outside the exhibition of his different potencies, the absolute truth is not complete. Ananda Chinmaya Ras means that his body is a transcendental form of eternal bliss and knowledge. Krishna is always surrounded by different potencies, and therefore he is perfect and beautiful. We understand from the Brahma Samhita and Skanda Purana that Krishna is always surrounded by many thousands of goddesses of fortune. The Gopis are all goddesses of fortune, and Krishna took them hand in hand on the bank of the Yamuna. It is said in the Skanda Purana that out of many thousands of Gopis, 16,000 are most important. Out of those 16,000, 108 are especially prominent. And out of those 8 Gopis, out of those 108 Gopis, 8 Gopis are still more prominent. Out of those 8 Gopis, Radharani and Chandravali are even more prominent. And out of these 2 Gopis, Radharani is the most prominent. When Krishna entered the forest on the bank of the river Yamuna, the moonlight dissipated the surrounding darkness. Due to the season, flowers like the kunda and kadamba were blooming, and a gentle breeze was carrying their aroma. Due to the aroma, the bees were also flying in the breeze, thinking that the aroma was honey. The gopis made a seat for Krishna by leveling the soft sand and placing cloths over it. The gopis who had gathered there had almost all been followers of the Vedas in their previous births. During Lord Ramchandra's advent, they had been Vedic scholars who desired the association of Lord Ramchandra in conjugal love. Ramchandra had given the benediction that they would be present for the event of Lord Krishna and he would fulfill their desires. During Krishna's event, the Vedic scholars took birth in the shape of the gopis in Vrindavan. As young gopis, they got the association of Krishna in fulfillment of their previous birth desire. The ultimate goal of their perfect desire was attained, and they were so joyful that they had nothing further to desire. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. If one attains the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he has no desire for anything. When the gopis had Krishna in their company, not only all their grief, but their lamenting and the absence of Krishna was relieved. They felt they had no desire to be fulfilled. Fully satisfied in the company of Krishna, they spread their cloths on the ground. These garments were made of fine linen and smeared with red kumkum, which decorated their breasts. With great care they spread a sitting place for Krishna. Krishna was their life and soul, and they created a very comfortable seat for him. Sitting on the seat amongst the gopis, Krishna became more beautiful. Great yogis, like Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma or even Lord Shesha, and others, always tried to fix their attention upon Krishna in their hearts. But here the gopis actually saw Krishna seated before them on their cloths. In the society of the gopis, Krishna looked very beautiful. They were the most beautiful damsels within the three worlds, and they assembled together around Krishna. May be asked herein how Krishna seated himself beside so many gopis and yet sat alone. There is a significant word in this verse, Ishvara, as is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarvabhutanam. Ishvara refers to the Supreme Lord as a Supersoul situated in everyone's heart. Krishna also manifested this potency of expansion as Paramatma in this gathering with the gopis. Krishna was sitting by the side of each gopi, unseen by the others. Krishna was so kind to the gopis that instead of sitting in their hearts to be appreciated in yogic meditation, he seated himself by their sides. By seating himself outside, he showed special favor to the gopis, who were the selected beauties of all creation. Having gotten their most beloved Lord, the gopis began to please him by moving their eyebrows and smiling, and also by suppressing their anger. Some of them took his lotus feet in their lap and massaged them, and while smiling they confidently expressed their suppressed anger and said, "Dear Krishna, we are ordinary women of Vrindavan, and we do not know so much about Vedic knowledge, what is right and what is wrong. We therefore put a question to you, and since you are very learned, you can answer it properly." In dealings between lovers, we find that there are three classes of men. One class simply receives another class simply receives, another class reciprocates favorably, even if the lover is very contrary, and the third class either acts contrary nor answers favorably in dealings of love. So out of these three classes, which do you prefer, or which do you call honest? In answer, Krishna said, "My dear friends, persons who simply reciprocate the loving dealings of the other party are just like merchants. They give in loving affairs as much as they get from the other party. Practically, there is no question of love. It is simply self-interested or self-centered business dealing. Even those without a tinge of loving affairs are better than these merchants. Better than the first class is the second class of men who love in spite of the opposite party contrariness. Such sincere love can be seen when the father and mother love their children in spite of their children's neglect. The third class neither reciprocates nor neglects. They can be further be divided into two classes. One comprises the self-satisfied who do not require anyone's love. They are called Atmarama, which means they are absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and so do not care whether one loves them or not. But another class comprise ungrateful men. They are called Kalas. The men in this group revolt against superior persons. For instance, a son, in spite of receiving all kinds of things from loving parents, may be callous and not reciprocate. Those in this case are generally known as Guru Druha, which means they receive favors from the parents of the spiritual master and yet neglect them. Krishna indirectly answered the questions of the Gopis, even those questions which implied that Krishna did not properly reciprocate their dealings. In answer, Krishna said that he, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is self-satisfied. He does not require anyone's love, but at the same time, he said that he is not ungrateful. My dear friends, Krishna continued, you might be aggravated by my words, you might be aggrieved by my words and acts, but you must know that sometimes I do not reciprocate my devotees' dealings with me. My devotees are very much attached to me, but sometimes I do not reciprocate their feelings properly in order to increase their love for me more and more. If I can very easily be approached by them, they may think Krishna is so easily available. So sometimes I do not respond. A person has no money, but after some time accumulates some wealth and then loses it, he would think of the lost property 24 hours a day. Similarly, in order to increase the love of my devotees, sometimes I appear to be lost to them, and instead of forgetting me, they fear their loving sentiment for me increase. My dear friends, do not think for a moment that I have been dealing with you as I do with ordinary devotees. I know what you are. You have forsaken all kinds of social and religious obligations. You have given up all connection with your parents. Without caring for social convention and religious obligation, you have come to me and loved me. And I am so much obliged to you that I cannot treat you as ordinary devotees. Do not think that I was away from you. I was near to you. I was simply seeing how much you were anxious for me in my absence. So please, do not try to find fault with me. Because you consider me so dear to you, kindly excuse me if I have done anything wrong. I cannot repay your continuous love for me, even throughout the lifetime of the demigods in the heavenly planets. It is impossible to repay you or show enough gratitude for your love. Therefore, please be satisfied by your own pious activities. You have displayed exemplary attraction for me, overcoming the greatest difficulties arising from family connection. Please be satisfied with your highly exemplary character, for it is not possible for me to repay my debt to you. The exemplary character of devotional service, manifest by the devotees of Vrindavan, is the purest type of devotion. It is enjoined in authoritative Shastra that devotional service must be ahaitika and ahaprihata. This means that devotional service to Krishna cannot be checked by political or religious convention. The stage of devotional service is always transcendental. The Gopis particularly showed pure devotional service towards Krishna, so much that Krishna himself remained indebted to them. Lord Chaitanya thus said devotional service manifest by the Gopis in Vrindavan excelled all other methods of approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 32nd chapter of Krishna, titled Krishna Returns to the Gopis. So Krishna was, the Gopis were complaining that Krishna was behaved improperly. After all, he actually called them to the forest to enjoy their rasa. And they came there neglecting all their families and obligations, religious duties, etc. And then Krishna asked them to go back. Which wasn't very nice. So, but Krishna says that to devotees are always asking Krishna for pure devotional service, pure unalloyed devotional service. So to fulfill their desires, sometimes he disappears from them, and the devotees become very much aggrieved by his absence. And in that feeling of separation from Krishna, then they can actually appreciate Krishna much more. He said, you don't miss the water till the well goes dry. In other words, some things you just take for granted, like the gifts of nature, like water, light, air, right? We just take it for granted, but if there's no air, we're doomed in a minute. So when there is a scarcity of something, then we realize its value, its actual value. So Krishna, to relieve to fulfill their desire of becoming pure devotees, then Krishna sometimes acts like this. That is his special mercy. As Krishna says, that to show special favor on his devotees. They want to surrender to Krishna, but as always in the material world, there's always some obstacle, some attachment. We can't give everything up and just surrender to Krishna as he's recommended. Savadaman prityatyamamikam sarambraja. You abandon all varieties of religious, all these other processes. You just surrender unto me. We find it difficult to do. We're practicing to do that, but we find it actually difficult. There's so many things in life we feel are necessary and important, more important, that we're not able to give them up. So sometimes Krishna takes everything away. So then that person becomes kind of wretched. Everyone neglects him because he's lost all good fortune. And since he has nothing to stand on, then he has no recourse but to surrender to Krishna. So that's another of a way that Krishna reveals himself or gives the devotee the opportunity to actually fully surrender to Krishna. And then that is the highest gain, the highest benefit when one surrenders to Krishna. Materially, surrender is not a very popular word. But if one surrenders to Krishna, that's actual freedom, the highest state of freedom. So Krishna admitted, he didn't behave properly. He shouldn't have done that after the sacrifice that they made. And And Krishna says, I cannot repay you. So this example of the Gopis, the residents of Vrindavan, their love for Krishna is matchless. Lord Chaitanya said it is the highest state of love of Krishna that one can achieve. Because Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, as you reciprocate with me, as you surrender unto me, I will reward you accordingly. Yayatamam papadyante. But with the Gopis, he couldn't do that, because the Gopis, they love Krishna 100%. All of them. So how could Krishna reciprocate? Because all of their attention, all of their focus is on Krishna. But they're hundreds and thousands. So how can he do that? Because their focus is only on him. So how can he only focus on one and reciprocate? Because there are so many Gopis there. So this way Krishna had to eat his own words and say, I was wrong, I'm defeated. I can't repay you. I have to eat my own words. So Krishna has to swallow his own words, which he spoke in Bhagavad Gita. That is why Krishna is conquered by the love of his pure devotees who have conquered their senses. So the devotee can actually become greater than Krishna in some aspects on the transcendental platform of love. Na pareham, I cannot repay you. You will simply have to be satisfied with your love for me, with your own pious deeds, Krishna says. Pious means the activities that brought them to this position. Here's a letter from the airways. So Mr. Milan Madhav, Hare Krishna. Can you kindly explain, when the Gopis are lamenting for the presence of Krishna, why do they glorify him as the all-pervasive, omnipresent Supreme Lord? Well, that's one of his qualities. He is the all-pervasive, omnipresent Supreme Lord. And what's next? So everything goes on there. In the madness of love, they say so many things. They actually become Krishna. They're imitating Krishna's walk, his talk, his pastimes. They almost become just like Krishna. Their mind is so absorbed in that they just become like him. So also they know the Lord's supreme position. They know Krishna's supreme position. But because of the intimacy of their love, that supreme position takes a back step. It becomes a secondary feature for common people, that the Lord in his opulence is the main feature. But for those who have pure love of Krishna, his supreme personality, then that becomes a secondary or not such an important issue, that he is the Lord. But sometimes they do express it in love, and if it enhances the relationship or the rasa, then they also mention how he is, how he is cruel. You're so cruel to us. Like before, you in your previous avatars, you cut off Supanaka's nose. You shot Bali from behind a tree. So you're doing all these things which are not very nice. So they know his actual position. And when it's necessary to do so, they're glorifying him as the all-pervasive Lord, omnipresent Lord. But that's not the feature that they want. The omnipresent Lord, the Gyanis, that's the feature that they're searching after. They think that is the goal of life, to reach the omnipresent Lord, the Brahman, which is all-pervading everywhere. And then to try to become one with that, to merge themselves into that omnipresence. That's the goal of the Gyanis, liberation. Then also the goal of the yogas is to become with the Lord's omnipresent form. So he has an omnipresent unmanifest form, the Brahman, and omnipresent manifest form as the supersoul, personalized form as a supersoul. So that's the goal of the yogis. They want to see the Lord face to face. So they perceive the Lord in the heart with four hands, with his different weapons and ornaments. And that's the end of their search for the Lord. So he's also omnipresent. The super soul is within everyone's heart and in the atom also. So he's also omnipresent in his personal feature. But the Gopis are not interested in that either. They want Krishna personally by their side, so they can embrace him, they can touch him, they can talk to him, and have these intimate dealings with them. So this is the highest realization of God. Brahmati, Paramatmati, Bhagavaniti, Sabjate. So this, because in the other two relationships with the Lord, to merge into the Brahman or to become face to face with the super soul, or the Lord seeing the Lord face to face, right? Then that's it. But there's no reciprocation there, especially for the Gyanis, because there's nothing to reciprocate. Everything is one. There's no duality there, so there's no difference between the seer and the seen. So there's no relationship in the Brahman. And for the yogis, there's a relationship, but that relationship is more or less restricted to seeing the Lord with the eyes. And the Lord will smile. He would send loving smiles back in reciprocation. But that's as far as it goes. It's perfection. You're seeing the Lord face to face, but there's no actual service. So there's not much rasa there. Just this exchange on one aspect of the journey from the eyes. But with this complete personality of Godhead Krishna, then there's activity. There's seeing, and there's smelling, and there's tasting, and there's touching, and there's hearing. So you got the whole 360 degrees of transcendental sensual experience. So that's what the others they don't achieve. They don't achieve that. The yogis and the Gyanis. And so and just imagine, for Krishna's sake also, he's not created us just to be a part of him. He doesn't need it. He is already himself. So it's not actually a complete understanding of the meaning of our existence. And also for the yogis, just to see the Lord face to face, but there's no service, there's no hardly any reciprocation there. Then what is the use of that, practically speaking? So that's also an incomplete, a lesser feature of the Lord. But because that's what they want, Krishna's reciprocating. That's the kind of thing they want. So Krishna's given facility for that. But to actually reciprocate with the Lord personally, That is the highest. And then you can experience the Dasya, the Shakya, the Vatsala, and the Madhura ras. So there you got the complete picture of the personality of God and the complete relationships. So the Gopis, they may have understood that he's a super soul is everywhere, but that's not what they want. Just like we heard when they were searching for Krishna and the Lord appeared, he took disguise of Narayana and produced another set of arms. And then when the Gopis saw him, they said, "Oh, here's Narayana." And they folded their hands and bowed down and said, "Dear Lord, please, can you tell us where Krishna is?" So they weren't much interested in seeing the Lord face to face. I mean, it was very nice, but they didn't. The benediction they asked for was, "Please tell us where is Krishna." Krishna was much more interesting. Okay, so they know these things. They're very exalted personalities. So that when they're glorifying him, this is for our benefit also. All the devotees, many of the devotees glorify him like that. They glorify his opulence, his qualities, just so that for the devotees that aren't the pure, don't have that much faith that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God, then it's stressed again and again and again that he is the Supreme Lord. Otherwise, he could just be an extraordinary, wonderful personality. So the devotees that know him best and the ones that he becomes subservient to, they know his actual glories, his Aishwarya, his opulences, but they're not much interested in that opulences without his Supreme Personality. So they don't want the secondary feature, the second stage realization of Paramatma, or the first stage, although they're talking about it. Okay? But this is for our benefit, that he is the same person that the yogis are seeking, he's the same person that the jnanis are seeking, but without the proper understanding of the Lord, complete with all of his potencies being manifest. That is Krishna within the spiritual worlds. Okay? And here's one from Arpan Sengupta. Arpan. Out of Lord Sri Krishna's 16,100 wives, 16,100 wives, why did he marry any Gopi of Vrindavan? Why or why not? You see, the speciality of this love in Vrindavan, this is Parakiya ras, this is unwedded love. So that love is more, if it's out of wedlock, it's more exciting, more interesting, inasmuch as when one is married, then one takes one's husband or wife a little bit for granted. That, okay, the marriage is there, he's mine. But if the relationship is out of wedlock, then one has to be very cautious all the time that people don't find out. So it's that more excitement there. It's something really that shouldn't be doing in the eyes of social morale kind of thing, especially if the ladies are married. So then, they all wanted initially Krishna's parents and wanted Radha and Krishna to be married, but and they even suggested at some time to make some arrangement. Then Yoga Maya had to step in. She said, "No, we can't have this because then it'll be a different type of rasa." So That's why he didn't marry them there. But then when Krishna went to Dwarka, then the Gopis expanded as his queens. So they married him in that form, like, you know, Radharani became Satyabhama, and Chandravali became Rukmini. So they got to marry him in his form as Dwarkadish. But that's anyway, there's a difference. This one from Sri Puja. What is pure love? How can one develop pure devotion or love towards Krishna? Pure love, well, this is what we're reading about. The pure love and the effects that the pure love has on somebody, how it manifests. In the material world, practically Prabhu said there's no such thing as pure love. I love you because of the happiness you give me, or the pleasure that I get from you. But if you stop giving, then the love stops. Right? Then we separate. So it's not really love. Krishna says this is a business. Those are not reciprocal. And he explains the three different kinds of lovers. Srila Prabhupada said the closest thing to pure love is the love that a mother has for the child. The child is completely dependent on the mother. The child just demanding, generally children, they just demand from the mother, they don't think about reciprocating. But the mother likes to, even though they like it, the mother likes to serve them. She feels great pleasure in serving them, even cleaning up behind them. She takes pleasure in that. So mother's love for child is like the closest you can get to the spiritual love. So how can you develop pure love for Krishna? Well, actually the pure love is already there. Nityasiddha Krishna Prema, it's already there in the heart. That's your constitution. We're created as lovers of God. Why do we exist? It's Krishna's. It says that we can't understand eternality. We need a reference point, a beginning. So therefore, it says in the beginning, Krishna, God is one, and he desired to become many, and then he expanded himself into many, all the living entities. And why did he expand himself? For pleasure. More exaltation, more variety. Right? If you have a big circle of friends, isn't it nice? So Krishna expanded himself for more. So the purpose of our existence is to increase Krishna's pleasure. So when you're doing that, that's pure love. So when it's mixed with when it's not only for Krishna's pleasure, then it's mixed. So it's mixed with two things. No? The pure bhakti is mixed with, impure bhakti is mixed with two things. The karma, the desire for liberation or peace in the future, and the desire for happiness, karma. So according to Rupa Goswami, the definition of pure unalloyed devotion or pure unalloyed love is that where there's no interest in my future well-being or my future happiness. So we can ask ourselves what level of devotion we're on. We can ask our question: what am I expecting from Krishna? So generally, if all our desires, they fall into one of those two categories. We want a peaceful future and happiness. But our existence is meant for Krishna's pleasure. So this is a great misnomer in the material world. Everyone thinks it's all about my pleasure. right? So I'm seeing everything and everyone as an object of my pleasure. What can I benefit from you? What can I benefit from that situation? So this is our motivation. How we can benefit, because we're not satisfied in the material world. The soul is not satisfied in matter. We're not experiencing sat. We're not experiencing chit. We're not experiencing ananda, which we're supposed to be. So therefore, this search is always there, this desire is always there, because we always feel incomplete in the material world. So you can't stop desire for happiness because you're another. You can't stop the desire for security because you're eternal. So the mystery is not how to fulfill those two desires. The way to fulfill them is very mysterious. The way to fulfill them is to give them up. That is a mystery of renunciation. As soon as you give something up, then immediately it's easily available. That which you was always chasing, very elusively struggling for, suddenly once you give it up from the mind, then it's very easily available. As Krishna says, when you surrender to him, then Maya stands with folded hands. How can I serve you? So in other words, it's pure love is without the interference of the ego. In it, my self-interest. What do I want? No, love means I love you. Pure love. And how can I do what you want? How can I do what gives you happiness? So if it's already there in the heart, that's your constitution. So it's not something you have to gain, it's something you have to reawaken. And that process to reawaken that is devotional service, beginning with hearing and chanting. So Mahaprabhu Krishna has come again to show us in this very fallen age how to revive that love, pure love. And by showing practically, he's come as a devotee of himself, so he's showing practically. And you saw his lamentation for Krishna, his compassion on the souls. He's crying because look, I'm coming to give Krishna consciousness, but the people aren't willing to take it. We're giving it a fraction of the price, but no one's taking. This is the sad plight. So he's very, very, he's feeling very sad that even though he's given it, made it very easy, still most people are not willing to take it. So he made his own sacrifices. He left his own family, his own friends, who loved him dearly, and he loved them dearly. He was broken-hearted. They were broken-hearted, devastated when he left, took sannyas. Mahaprabhu was broken-hearted, but he said, somehow or other I can tolerate the pain of Vishnu Priya in separation, and somehow or other I'll be able to tolerate the pain of my mother, that she'll never see me again. He said, but I cannot tolerate that all these living entities are suffering without Krishna consciousness. So I have to do this, take sannyas so I can go out and give it to them. So that was his compassion. He's showing it as Mahaprabhu. That was his pure desire is to let everyone be awakened to their original Krishna consciousness, original pure love. And he's given the process to do it by hearing and chanting, remembering, specifically kirtan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Nam Mahamantra ki jai, Ganga Mahaprabhu ki jai, Krishna Book ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. I go up Premanandi. We hope that answers some of your questions. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.